I'd say go for it.
Okay, I'll call the workshop to order. First tonight on my schedule is Chris Tremblay from Madelia Light and Power.
In your guys' packet tonight, the very first page is Chris presented a notice, and so that is on each one of your packets is the first page. Come on up.
So I don't know if everybody has had an opportunity to read through the handout. Hopefully you have. And if you have any questions on what we have here, let me know. But essentially, what we did is in 2020, we hired DGR to perform a system study on our infrastructure. And what that gives us is kind of a state of where we are. And what it honed in on was the fact that our switchgear is concerning to them. And what I wanted to do with this, I took it to Compass. We're an associate member of Central Municipal Power Association, and said, hey, is this a concern to you as it is to DGR's engineer group? And they said it was, amongst a few other things. And so through planning and preparation, we've come to the point that we need to look at this switchgear and we need to make it a priority, which is what we're doing. So what we want to do is look at that bus bar. We're going to contract CE Power to come in and look at that bus bar. And in order to do that, we have to take an outage. Okay, so if you think about the bus bar option, I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but basically that bus bar is the bridge between Heartland and the customers. Okay. So it's in need of inspection, and what we want to look at, because it was installed in 1973 along with the switchgear, we want to, and it hasn't been looked at, we want to make sure that at this age that there's no tracing or tracking on that bus bar. If there is signs of tracing and tracking, the next potential issue that we have is that bus bar gives out and we are out of power, unable to generate, and this could be a continuous situation, catastrophic situation if it were to go that way. It's a preventative maintenance project that hasn't been done, and what we want to do is stay in front of it as we start making infrastructure improvements to continue to be able to provide reliable power for Madelia in the years to come. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I want you to realize too is from this side of the aspect, we are not subject matter experts in the switchgear environment or the mechanicals or the maintenance side of it. We can do and have done what we're able to do with a hot bus, okay? We're relying and leaning on the information that the subject matter experts provide us to make the decisions going forward. And I don't want to do an outage. I don't want to take a planned outage, but it is the right step for Madelia Light and Power to do this preventative maintenance measure now versus waiting until a catastrophic event occurs and then respond to it. So it's a maintenance plan that we're going to do. We'll have CE Power come in. The outages are planned from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. We're not planning on them taking the entire 4 hours, but we're planning on the entire 4 hours in those two time frames, October 10th and October 17th.
So it's worst case scenario, 4 hours.
Worst case scenario, correct. And then in that timeframe too, another department of CE Power is going to come in and do some maintenance on the tap load changer, and check the condition of the substation as well. The substation is, we're approaching max capacity on the substation. And if we have another summer like this and Tony Downs North that gets up to full operating capacity, we could very easily be generating next summer, because we're hitting that capacity in that transformer. It's beginning to show its age, and we're also taking measures that way from a maintenance standpoint when we do that outage. So something that's never been done here before, I realize that, and I do not like to have those planned outages, but this is truly for the betterment of for us down the road and moving forward.
So Chris, your Downs Foods Group, they've already been notified, right?
Yeah, originally I've talked to the hospital, I've talked to JJ and Jason down at the plant, talked to the Lutheran home. We were originally gonna do this in June, and I'm really glad that we didn't, because it was terrible in June, right? So some timing issues didn't work out, so we planned it intentionally for cooler weather, or where we're kind of not relying on heat or air conditioner. But they have all been notified. House of Print, Preferred, everybody's been notified, but we put it on hold until now. Pardon?
Christensen Communications.
I did communicate with Christensen Communications in the early stages. So how we're going to plan to disseminate the information is really an overload of our resources. We're going to post this information on our website, on the city's website. We don't have a Facebook page, but we're going to put it on the city's Facebook page. We're going to utilize Code Red weekly up until the events. As updates and reminders, we're going to, I plan, instead of doing an insert in the bill, I think, and I'm guilty of it too, I get an insert in a bill at home, and I look at the bill and I don't see what the insert is a lot of the time. So I think, with that being said, we want to do an additional mailing with this information. Maybe stamp it urgent, so you open up that information from the plan, so you know that there's something above and beyond. So the chamber, Facebook, 2 websites, an additional mailing with an insert, and then the Code Red is what we're going to do. We're also I've also talked to Chris. Wade is going to ensure that the tower is topped off. We're going to have John is going to have generation capabilities out at the waste station. We're going to coordinate with him to ensure that we can shut him down and then make sure that he is connected to his generation. Again, worst case scenario is going to be the 4 hours at both shots, but I want to make sure that everybody understands that we're planning for the 4 hours. Yeah.
So you're talking 2 shots?
Yes. The 10th, and then the next week, the same time on the 17th.
And from midnight to 0400?
Correct.
And for most people, they won't even know it was off.
Yeah.
Most people won't, right? You know, I've had questions about my deep freeze thawing. That isn't going to happen, and I think, you know, I'll touch base with the Legion and Chris and just let them know if bars close at 1 o'clock these days, or what time do they close? What time?
I think 11.
Why are you looking at me?
I was just thinking, I mean, you would know, right? So, you know, I plan to make, you know, visits, to some locations as well to let them know, just to make sure that we get these. We're also, you know, wanna make sure that everybody has enough time to, have a backup plan to maintain any life support, equipment as well. Okay, any questions? Any concerns?
No.
I received a text over the weekend, Friday night at 10:30, a concerned citizen, and it was handled right, but you know, we've gotten really comfortable with having power at our fingertips, I get it. This is a preventative maintenance measure that is not entirely common, but it is required, and that's how we're going to approach it. It does happen in other utilities, but the beauty of other utilities, which we want to get to too, is where we have a second bus, where we have another method where we can carry the town in another substation. So we got a lot of things are going on differently than they once did, because we've got a lot of, you know, growth, and that's a good thing here. So I don't have any reservations about going through this process, other than just getting the information out there and getting everybody prepared for it. Okay.
There was a previous outage similar to this, probably very early in my career, like maybe 2 years in. I know Steve Moses was still the manager at the time, and basically the town was dark for about the same amount of time. We just called in some extra resources and tried to be prepared for everything, but ultimately we didn't have a lot of issues. So, I mean, obviously technology's changed, so there's a lot more internet and stuff that probably is reliant on that. So again, like Chris said, I think as long as we can let the public know about it, they can be prepared for it. And
We have a lot more backups we didn't have before. So,
Right.
Yeah, completely agree. Too easy.
So I like I say, I don't anticipate any issues. I don't want any wires to get crossed as far as, you know, what the dates or timelines are. The 17th is our wedding anniversary, and I'll be down here, for that, so. Hey, does anybody have anything for me then?
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda would be the budget thing then, huh?
Okay. Thanks,
See you,
Chris.
Chris.
Take care, have a good night.
So, what I got in your packet tonight is, obviously you guys have been paging through it, is your normal budget sheets for the departments. So I have street, I have golf, and all of these, the commission meetings, have been done, so we're all to a point that we will now be discussing what needs to be added on for next year. But I do wanna point out some really good things on the ones that I do have attached. Golf, right now, we are currently sitting at $783.44 in the hole. We have not seen that in my lifetime, before 2014. So, yeah, $783.44. Pool generated $32,595 this year. That is the most revenue I've seen since before 2014. I only have the numbers still 2014, but pool increase percentage was tremendous this year. It was awesome. Also, expenses were down also. So right now we're sitting at 68,000 in expenses, and in past years it's been 70, 90, 65. So that was awesome. Park. park, our campground is amazing. To date, and we still have the rest of this month to go, have made the most money we've ever seen since before 2014. Right now, we sit at $48,710. And so, and we were budgeted to only make 35,000. So, we're doing the expansion of the 28 more sites, can only increase the revenue down there. Expenses also were down, so park only sits at 14,000 in the hole, which is huge, tremendous. My staff has been awesome this year. We've been working really hard, keep those expenses down. That's why the campground is being done internally. Majority of all the work has been done by staff. So that saved us a lot of money on that. So right now I wanna start off with street. And the one thing that we need to change next year in street would be our loader leases up. So we have a page in here for the loader, and Ben is here tonight also to talk about it. So our 5-year lease is up. We have two options. One option would be to just buy out the current piece of equipment, but we would have to come up with $122,175 to buy out that piece of equipment. However, that piece of equipment, and Ben can help me on that, is at how many hours again, Ben?
Spent 2,584 on it right
And so if anything would go wrong with it, let's just say, what's the major expense? We brought it up.
now. Engine and training.
Yep, $40,000 right there. So the other option that we could do is actually give back the piece of equipment and sign another 5-year lease. So we would just get a new loader, and our payments would go from $12,835.04 a year to $19,706.29. So that's an increase of $6,871.25. But we'd have a new piece of equipment, and we can move forward, and we can actually put away extra money to actually buy out that piece of equipment at the end of 5 years. Otherwise, we can continually do what we're doing. But right now, we did not put enough money aside to buy this piece of equipment out. Thoughts, questions?
Ben, what do you wanna do?
Well, what I don't wanna do is spend time trying to fix something that I can't fix.
Right.
The current piece of equipment that we have right now, I can't fix it.
Mhm.
So what I want is to keep that piece of equipment as new as possible. As financially
Ben, I
as
totally
financially
agree with the
responsible as we
lease.
can be.
To go with the lease?
Yep, absolutely.
And so, the one thing that we do want to do is buy out the grapple that we currently have.
The bucket, yeah.
Yep, and so the buyout on that is $3,829.26. So, we would have to do that expense this year in 2021, and that's listed on your sheet for that $3,800. And then, we would be signing the lease right now and receiving the new piece of equipment right now, but we will not have to make that payment until January. So we will always make our lease payment in January.
So it'll move it forward instead of
Because
being
otherwise-
after the beginning of the fiscal year.
Because otherwise, we have already made a payment on the current loader right now, and then we would have had to make another payment. So I worked it where we could move it to the new year. So we're never got all those expenses.
So is there a line item specifically for the loader lease or not?
Yep, and so that is, it's way down, it's the third one from the bottom, it's equipment lease payment. And this year it's a little wacky because remember we had all those other lease payments that we had and we paid off.
Yeah.
So that's why, but normally if you see in budget 2021, it is budgeted for the 12,835.04, and so I have that new amount in there at $19,397.26. So,
Do we wanna keep that number where it's at?
you mean to like put money aside for, then that would go down to your capital outlay reserve. Yeah,
Yeah.
So you're putting,
I'm putting I got $30,000 on the capital outlay reserve for his depreciation schedule. So, which.
for the end of this next lease.
Well,
For his
$30,000
department.
For all of
That's
the
for the
equipment.
department.
If,
Right, so I guess what I'm saying is, if you're gonna do that, why aren't we,
we would actually end up putting, I think I figured it out, it was like $28,000 we'd have to put away if we are intending to buy it out at the end of the lease.
but what you're saying on this last one is we don't even have the option now, because we haven't been putting anything away. So if we want that option at the end of this next
Do
one.
we want that option
This is the
at
first
end?
year we put 30,000,
Yeah.
we never did that.
We have not done that before.
Right.
We will do that.
So
going
every
forward.
department has the
Do
30,000 capital.
you, at the end of your 5 years, want
This
that
is- yeah.
piece of
I have no
equipment?
idea, but
I don't know
I
either.
also have no idea what that lease is gonna look like 5 years from now, if it's gonna be 26 or 27,000,
Mhm.
then the money's already set aside to eat that,
Yeah,
or give us that option. So maybe there's just a better number than having the number right on the, maybe 26 is a better number, or 25 is a better number in that line item, so that we have that option moving forward.
well, I can put it in there.
Well,
Obviously, it'll-
I'm just thinking we're gonna handcuff ourselves to be in a, into a perpetual lease no matter what, which is fine if that's what we wanna go with. But then that number, say it jumps that $7,000 again at the end of this next lease term, then we have to eat that all instead of maybe spreading it out and figuring out what we can actually do. Cause right now, we don't even have that option to make the purchase.
Yeah, we.
I mean, you could, do an interdepartmental loan or something if you really wanted to, but I don't think anybody wants to now.
No, I don't think so. I mean, we discussed it at the street commission meeting.
But
in
if the
regards
payloader
to it.
itself is 28,000, maybe we either increase the capital outlay to cover some of that lease expense or put it directly into the lease agreement. I don't know, it would make sense, but there's probably, if that piece of equipment is that price, we're probably gonna have to start setting aside a little more money for contingency moving forward, you know what I mean?
So council feels that they want to increase the street budget by how much?
I don't know, I think that would be the,
Budget before the year's over.
What would it
No,
cost to
I
buy yours
know.
right now?
I know, because,
No, you
Because-
don't have one.
Because you don't know if.
You went out
he's
on
gonna
the
come in
interweb and you found what you had,
50,000
what
under
would you
budget.
pay?
I know.
I think we found one that was
I agree.
over 200,000. So it's, private market, it's worth over 200,000.
We need to look at that.
I
In
don't
5 years from
disagree.
now-
I do not,
Right.
Ben and I already looked at that, but where are we, are we in the market to do that? Are we?
We're gonna give it back and let them make $80,000.
Exactly, but.
But
then
we only
that-
paid, we only paid 170 for it. We got government, we get a huge discount. We get a 35% discount,
Yeah.
or whatever, it's huge discount.
So I went through the equipment trader and I tried to find something that.
I think you only found one, because it's so new.
Yeah, there wasn't very many out there, so yeah, where were they going? Yeah, it was quite a big
Well, pay it out the 111 and put it on and sell it
Mhm.
for 150
But
then lease the new one.
and then lease a new one.
we can't play with money like we can in private entities.
It's not.
So.
And that's the problem
it's
with
black and
trading
white.
it in. You're not gonna trade it into an RDO and get full value, because they know exactly what you paid for.
They can't sharpen that pencil on that lease knowing what they're getting back? Ask them.
Well, I think they did.
We had some equity, which doesn't make any sense still to this day to me, that we built up this equity in it. And that's what increased
Oh, yeah,
our
how much
payments.
was that?
Like 20,000.
Yeah.
I don't know, I still think the lease, because we don't have the 122, what we put in that line item, if we put
Put it on the market,
30,000
see
in
what we get for it.
each department for capital improvements, and we still stay at that 3%, then it's not a bad deal. But otherwise, how are you gonna increase that without increasing something else in the budget? And as we sat in this room multiple times, the goal was to stay under that 3% for next year's budget.
Well, and I guess I don't disagree with that, the only thing,
Really?
the only thing I'm saying is,
I know your head's
But
spinning
Cody,
right now.
Cody's got a point though, it's hard to do this right now, not knowing what
It
our
sucks
end.
because okay, so he's at 307 right now, but we don't know if he's gonna come in 50,000 under, or if he's gonna be 50,000 over. We don't
oh,
know.
for this year's.
Yeah.
Well, because the one
It
thing
just-
is, your seal coating was, what was your seal, 95,000? And actually, it's going through the check run right now, it was only at 61,000. So, yes, he's gonna be under budget, so we don't know what we're transferring
We
this
budgeted
year.
95 and we spent 61? 'Cause we
Not-
didn't get
Hopefully
every-
we're
we
under
didn't do
budget,
everything we said
Not
we were gonna
everything,
do.
so we leave seal coating at
But Ally didn't get
95,000.
done. That's been done every year, I think that was on the thing.
Hey, are you on here benefit or,
And for what?
Game, not player.
No, not the player, no, he knows.
I don't know, I can't see right now putting any more money away
Than the 30.
where, yeah.
Well, what we should do,
I mean, I know, maybe we look at
and
it,
the 30 is fine, it's fine as a starting point, but what we really need is a depreciation for all the equipment, so we know exactly
And
what
we
we're
do.
looking at for,
And you guys can't
What
afford to
thing
put
is,
away
what year's
what
that
you
one,
need to put
Ben?
away.
we've
What
had
year's your
shit
loader?
and then bought shit. and then bought
2017.
shit.
And settled for shit.
Yeah, and
Let's
now
be done
all we
with
have
settling
is,
for shit.
can we have to replace it all at
Not
once?
every
Yeah.
time.
Afford it.
So, piece at a
It'd be
time.
nice if we had a bunch of stuff, but we could do
They're up.
pay
Brown.
in 5 years.
Just bought-
And
put
then
new ones
another
on
5
it
years
once.
do something else, but in 5 years, we're gonna have to do 3 plow trucks.
no, that's exactly it, that's why I'm saying this isn't enough.
I know, but without,
That was the old,
what
that's
I'm
probably the
getting
old
at
one.
is without increasing the debt service is what we're getting at, or without increasing the taxes?
8,500.
Well, we just gotta figure out where, where it's come from.
Kind of topped out.
Well, no, you're not, because look at what you didn't spend in the golf course and what you didn't spend in the campground.
Well, we don't know until the end of the year.
So that's why I think you need to leave what it's stated right now.
My thing is, what happens if we get
My-
snow every other day in November and December and he blows through his budget and that 30,000's gone then?
Yeah, that could possibly happen.
My question is, what would it actually be to cover
His
debt-
depreciation,
depreciation?
over 200 and
Yeah,
some
we
thousand
figured it
a
out.
year. If you take every piece of his equipment, and which we have, and you earmark it at what year you're gonna trade it off at, what you have to put away to get to a certain point right now, because you haven't been faithful in putting it away, is over 200 and some $1,000 a year.
That's what I'm saying. So you're never gonna get to that unless you actually figure out what you can put in to that capital outlay and start putting it in there. So if you're just telling me 30 is the number this year, what I'm saying is that might be fine for this year, but that's not a good number.
No, but
No.
it's a start, it's a
Yeah.
start, and we have to grow that going forward.
Okay.
We haven't done this before, that's okay. but
Oh, I know, I'm well aware that we haven't done it before.
But now we are,
Yeah,
and we're gonna grow this going forward.
okay.
Okay, so if you guys want to
Oh, no, I realize.
proceed on the lease, I would ask that it be an agenda item, that I can proceed with, getting the lease all ready, and then we'll have to do a resolution for the lease at a
Oh, no.
later date.
I think the lease is best.
So you want to add that to tonight's agenda, or?
That's up to
I would
you
motion we
guys.
proceed with the lease.
Yeah.
So what we'll do tonight is we'll do, an approval for me to go ahead and get the lease ready, but then in the next council meeting, we'll do a resolution for it.
Oh, no,
So
I
I'll
realize.
add that as number 6 then, right?
Okay.
I guess what I'm getting at is, we have to start looking at,
What's that? The
Maybe.
30,000 isn't gonna get us there at all.
no,
Not even close.
no.
But being the first year that we
Right.
actually put money away in every department,
Right.
we need to get through the first year to
Yep.
see where we sit.
Well, yeah.
Ben, are you okay
now
with
having a
that?
plan to go forward.
So,
Somewhere.
how does the lease agreement deal with, during the lease term, if there is any breakdowns with the equipment that you are
Well,
leasing?
when we purchased it, when we went through the lease, we got the warranty. Basically, the only thing that's on us is oil changes, filters, and fuel.
And I think that's where the equity come back in at, is because of that, right?
They're responsible for everything else.
So it makes it a pretty economical piece of equipment too.
But then the other question then becomes,
Just
do
look at the general fund.
do we really wanna continue to
Right.
be in the business of owning equipment? Wouldn't it be cheaper to just lease
Still,
things?
so.
Some days I
There's a
believe
lot of
it's
things-
cheaper
There's a
to,
lot of
They
things out
run a
there you
piece
can
of
lease, but
equipment
it gets really
Basically
expensive.
until it was.
Depending on what,
No
depending on
longer
what it
safe.
is, like a tractor you can lease for
So,
$1 an hour. In some
I don't
cases.
know how they
That's
actually
pretty cheap.
purchased the last front loader,
Other,
but they
other
actually
things like a
moved it.
plow truck,
But they ran it for like
See,
30
You
that's
really
what I was
can't.
thinking, cause we would just have this continual
Just
problem
ran
with
into
plow
it.
trucks
Correct.
since I've been sitting around here. As to what is the actual solution to
You
that?
can't
I
really-
think putting more than 30,000 away is gonna have to be the solution.
they
That's
don't really
all-
like to
Yeah.
do leases on skids.
For-
Near or
in
distant
that
future,
rainbow- in that
yeah.
rainbow land.
Ben's
Okay,
gonna go home and do everything.
Ben, is there anything else that we have to talk about on your budget? That was the big thing.
Oh, well, just heads up, next year it's gonna be the skid loader, you know,
Yep,
which is, you know, depending on which model you go with, 35 to 45,000, so.
But that one's got some pretty good resale value, cause we own that, right?
We do own that.
You're still probably talking 25, depending on what we
I
get
don't
for
mark
it.
on the use.
What year is it? 11?
12?
12 or 13, 12, I think.
But it's got a ton of hours.
That's, I just did the, it's not even got, doesn't even have, we're coming up on a 2,500 hour.
Oh, that'd
Yeah.
be fine then.
Which surprises me,
But that's where the government discount helps out if you were to buy it.
10 years, the government, you do a municipal lease, which is just a 5-year loan. They call it municipal lease, which is a 5-year loan. 10 years is about the longest you wanna go on owning a piece of equipment.
But that discount that you get
Yep.
for being a government, when you buy, let's say you buy it, it was a $45,000 machine, you got it for 30.
Yep.
Well, when you go to sell that for 5 years, and it's
Right.
worth 28.
Right.
Well, if you go buy a new one for 45 again,
Yeah.
40, whatever, it's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, and you can go on that, there's this Minnesota, state website on everything that they have discounts
State
on.
bid,
yeah.
The state website is awesome, cause you don't even have to call it salesman, you can just go on that.
Are you thinking the same, similar size to the one you currently have, or maybe bigger?
They really don't, probably that, 660
Okay.
is the new model that I'd like to go with. Skid or track, doesn't matter.
I know we've talked with, MMLP and stuff about sharing some, attachments and stuff, so.
We've always done that.
Right, so just verify that it's all gonna be
Right.
compatible. Yeah.
Well, they don't have,
Right, much
anything.
that isn't.
Well, at some point, we have to talk about your vehicle fleet, I mean, for the love of God. I'm just saying.
That's what that 30,000's for.
Oh,
I just keep them running, I don't.
my newest vehicle is from the police impound lot, not exactly a story you wanna tell, but okay.
Or just one of the police cars.
Yeah.
alright.
Whatever.
I don't think budgetary wise, I think that's it.
Alright, then we'll go on.
Well, the other thing that we talked about this spring, and you mentioned for this fall, do you need money for this upcoming snow season to repair that last truck?
That's
all
done.
done.
Oh, it has
And
been
you
done.
ordered this, right?
That's on order, yeah.
Okay.
We spent
So is
about
it gonna be here?
$1,300 on new metal to cut all the rust off, put new framing under everything, added a bunch of metal to the box.
Good.
It'll last 10 years probably, I mean, until the rest comes in again, I mean, whatever.
Well, what's your thought on, are you gonna still wanna try to find used trucks before a certain year date, or at some point are we just gonna have to bite the bullet and start going with,
Do whatever you guys tell me.
well, I mean,
I've shot for trucks so many times now that people are done answering my phone calls.
yeah,
So, I'm not, until you guys tell me it's time to get a truck, you know, whenever you're ready, quit spending money on repairs and go buy a new one, whatever you wanna do.
well, that's the thing too, I mean,
I know.
what's our newest plow truck?
In all three.
An 03.
And that 05 that you just showed us went for 16 today.
Yeah.
It's all stainless steel,
Yeah.
it'll be great. But I don't have that spending authority, so.
Well,
Okay.
I kinda dropped the ball on it too, and I apologize.
Well, no, and I didn't catch it early either, but what I'm saying is if we're gonna, I mean, if you only wanna upgrade to a certain point, I know with all the DEF and all the other stuff,
Mhm.
there's certain trucks that are
There are.
easier to work on and easier to do stuff to, so, I mean, I have no problem keeping an Iowa too,
But what is his limit? You know, that's where we maybe could've got that truck today and not spent.
Well, I think that's why we have to wait until we get to this year and see. I mean, it sucks because you got that 30 grand and it's for everything, but
Yep.
one piece at a time.
Sure.
Okay, you okay to move on, everyone? Okay. So
Thanks,
the-
Ben.
The next item is the golf, and so at the golf commission meeting, and we discussed their equipment also. And the one slip that I have in front of you is from Davis. And this would be for, a 104 Hustler Super, $25,471.53. And then the other piece of equipment is the greens mower, but I do not have an updated quote on just the greens mower. This one, from MTI is $35,445.14, but I'd have to get you a better quote that, shows what the lease term is on that one. But as for Davis, Davis is like, just one shot, I mean, he said he'll work with us if we need to, work with money, maybe pay half of it this year and pay half of it next year, or just pay it all this year. But those are the two pieces of equipment that the commission discussed.
Comments? How, that's a, greens mower, or is that the,
there's a greens mower and then the, Hustler is a 0-turn rough mower,
Rough.
104-inch cut. Which, I don't know, at some point, we're gonna have to reevaluate probably all our mowing practices again, just to see what's gonna work best. So we're adding more to the campground, more to the, so I don't know if at some point it's gonna make more sense to actually have somebody mowing again, or especially if we're gonna make this type of investment in a mower that's city owned, I guess I'd like to see somebody on it more than,
4 hours a day, 3 hours a day?
Yeah, 4 hours a day or
4 hours a week?
8-10 hours a week. I'd rather see it in use a lot more, so I think that would be if we do go this route and purchase this particular mower, I think it could do the whole park. And probably do a really good job, the whole park, so maybe we'll have to cut that portion back out of the, agreement for contracted mowing, I don't know.
And that agreement's up this year too, correct?
Pretty much every year.
Every year.
We
Yeah,
just
so
readdress
that
it.
gets revisited every year, so. I
Who
think
does that now? Who does that now?
TLC does. But I think we're talking about, going out request for proposal too, so if we, you know, put that as stipulation and,
You know what, I need to look at that. Dustin might be signed in for one more year.
He might have
I think we did a 2-year, didn't we?
but I
Yeah.
think there could be changes with a 60-day or a 90-day notice, so if we wanted to change that going into, I'm sure we can get a new number.
I do know that the park overall, since Total Lawn Care's taken over, it's probably looked the best it has in years.
Right, I don't disagree with that, and that's why it makes this piece of equipment harder to justify as just a,
Yeah, so that's
Just-
my question.
just
Why
a
are we
golf-
buying this if they're gonna take care of it for us?
well, this is strictly, they don't mow any of the golf course, so the golf course is looking to
Okay.
add this piece of equipment to mow their roughs, but the golf course also no longer mows the driving range, which was a big chunk of what they mowed. So
I don't,
now it's kind of a,
I don't.
I, well, I really think that if we are gonna spend this much money, we'll have to figure out a way to keep somebody on it, you know, and actually be using it for
The whole system down there.
closer to 30 some hours a week or 30, 40 hours a week. I'd like to see somebody on it if we're gonna buy that bigger piece of equipment.
Stupid question as a new guy, but let's say that TLC could do the greens and everything else, cause there's a, like, you have a special mower for
Yep.
that, right?
Yep.
Would that not be good?
Depends
Depends
on the
upon
number.
what it comes in.
So then that's what we're talking about, is there is gonna be a request for proposal for greens keeper, or that position again, going into next season. So if we get, you know, a different agreement in place, which we might, maybe that changes exactly what's,
So I only say before we approve this, I think we need to talk to what TLC would do if we turned it over completely to.
yeah, no, I think that's, you're not supplying, you didn't wanna purchase these today, did you? We were supplying this as a budget for,
Yeah, because I don't have MTI stuff.
right, so.
I just need to provide you all the information to have
Right.
these conversations.
So this is just, yeah, this is just more of a budgetary deal to kinda know what we're talking about for capital.
And yeah, I'm with Andy, if you're gonna buy something that big, 4 to 8 hours a week just doesn't justify.
They mow a lot more than that.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
about 30 hours they're on that mower.
yeah.
I'd say
probably.
5 a day for sure.
Yeah,
5 a day doing rough.
but it probably won't be that
How
much.
many hours was Doc getting a week?
They'd be
'Cause
going,
that's all he did.
they'd be going from 70, that's a 72 inch, I think,
20
to
hours.
104.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 20 hours.
So
There
they,
you go. That's 20 on that for sure, out of 72 inch.
right,
But I've also been told in the past that we shouldn't go any higher than a 72 inch.
I don't think
because
we
you
should.
can't trim around the trees as well, but. And I'll also have the 72, but.
Right.
Here we are again with that, they had the pull behind tractor mower and nobody used it because it was too big, they said.
Can I request a golf commission meeting to discuss the RFP and
Sure.
how we're going to move forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
You wanna-
If you guys,
Go ahead.
if you're gonna be asking park staff to be doing more mowing,
No,
I'd like to be involved.
Sure.
Not saying
Yes.
that you're gonna talk about that.
Yep,
I would like to be involved in that meeting, cause I need to find a person to do that.
yep.
Yeah, so my piece of this is, why don't we outsource all of it?
I think that,
What would that cost be?
that would be the option, the other option, and that's something that we're be willing to explore.
Yeah.
That's
So,
where the request for proposal comes in
Right.
for the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
year.
tractor, yeah.
But as of right now, there's agreement to keep under contract through the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't know. Fairmont has both the wing mowers, and they also pull, and they do the ball diamonds and stuff, and they trim along the fences, and Blower's got 2 of these zero turns in the school system and 1 in the park system, and they do a nice job with the right operator.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key, you know, if you're gonna put somebody on a piece of equipment that does a nice job, you have to have somebody that's responsible.
Can I request September 22nd? It's a Wednesday night.
Sure.
Five o'clock?
Can we do 5:30?
Yeah, whatever.
Well, that's not,
What?
Oh, this is.
this is golf board.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
We don't have to make Glenn show up unless he
Yeah.
absolutely wants to.
Well, if Glenn shows up, then I really have to call it a
No.
full council then.
Get everything. Yeah.
Okay, so 5 o'clock on September 22nd to discuss, RFP and future equipment.
Straighten that out.
No problem.
It's like, oh my God.
Those were the two large equipment, items. We'll be starting to work on the park shelter, now that I'd like to say it's gonna quiet down, but, so hopefully I'll get some ideas to bring back to the council in regards to that. Let's see, what's next? We have women up today, so we can, okay, just one more thing. On the budget, right now, as I have it projected on here, on this sheet, is at 6%. So right now, 6% increase, I have a $17,000, deficit. But that's what I would tell you guys to declare your preliminary budget at 6%, and we can always go down from there.
Have you seen any numbers for the, estimated tax value of next year's estimated tax value? When do you usually get those?
That isn't until after, I don't.
After completely?
Because that's when we do the, truth in taxation. So that's when I put that together is next year. But let me do some more investigating on that. I think we may have got those numbers out. But, so.
The other question I had, maybe not related to budget, but kinda related to budget, is have we been told when we'll actually get the final census numbers for, no?
I don't, that's a Heather question, but the last time I looked at it, it was only estimates.
That's still what it is.
So from the size of the city. Yeah.
'Cause what is the threshold, 2501?
I would like to see 2,500 plus, cause then that'll put us in a different, formula bracket for
LGA,
LGA.
yeah.
And, Andy, can you remember off the top of your head, our LGA only increased like $7,000,
Yeah, you said like
right?
$7,800 or
Yeah.
$7,300.
That's all that's all the extra that we got. So right now, as I sit here, I'm asking the council to look at a 6% preliminary. We can never go more than 6%, we can only go down on the final. And then as the debt service, our debt service is at $74,870.31, and I'm requesting that we can just set it at 75,000, which is $129.69 increase. And the reason I'm asking to round it off is 1 year it's like $25 more, 1 year is $30 more. If I just set it at 75, it would just stay at 75, and I don't have to do that. And right now, that increase is a 0.0018%. So I'm asking to round it off to 75,000, if that is at all possible.
And at what meeting are we setting the actual preliminary?
The preliminary will be set at next
Council
council
meeting.
meeting, so the 26th.
And you're gonna have another budget workshop before that one or not?
We will do a workshop prior to
Prior.
that. But that is what the preliminary one is the high one. You have to set it high, you can never go any higher, you can go lower, so.
Okay, enough on budget.
Yep,
Jane's here and I'm thinking she wants to talk to us about, the proclamation that's sitting in front of me.
I didn't know I was gonna have to talk. The week after next is statewide, national-wide Women of Today Week. And so we are just asking if we could proclaim that week here in Madelia as Madelia Women of Today Week. And just in recognition of all that we have done and continue to do for the community.
Too easy.
And I have that proclamation in front of me. So that's on the list with resolutions
Yep,
for tonight.
yep.
And
And then I have a copy for her, so, once you're done reading it, I have a copy for you to take back with you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yep.
Tracy Henry is coming and she's our chapter president, so maybe we could get a picture too of the two of them when he's reading it, or after he's done reading it.
okay. The other thing that we got from, I have a couple minutes, right? The last council meeting, Julia Whitcomb from Community Health Services Manager sent a nice thank you. If you want to read it, it's nice that we are appreciated. Anything else to, and the other thing on the agenda tonight is just direct support professional recognition, which is,
It's at the end.
it's
The
at the
last
end,
one.
the last one, which is the people that work in, no, that's Larry Shepherd. Where did I put that one, Chris? Oh, right here, I got mixed in between the two. No, that ain't it either.
There you go.
Right here. Why don't I have that one? Oh, I signed it already, that's fine. Okay, it's a, no, that's Women of Today, I got two of them, I didn't get one of them.
We're everywhere.
Direct support resolution, it's community-based, and that is the people that work for the REM. And they asked to be recognized too, and we are gonna do that tonight. Other than that, anybody else got anything else for the workshop? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
No second.
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carried.